Awesome. All right. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Scott Morris. I'm the Director of Business Development for GTS Distribution's Gaming Division. I'm very happy to be joined today by Travis, who is the President of Kolossal Games. You may remember Kolossal. We've had them on a couple of times before. We've talked about Imperius. We've talked about Kami-sama, talked about Western Legends, a lot of great games from this studio. Today, we're going to be talking about a brand new game that's just about to release. It's going to release on the 29th of August called Terrors of London. And there is both a base game and an expansion that we're going to talk about as well. Both of those are going to release on the same day. As a reminder, so if you're here live or if you're watching this recorded, if you place a pre-order for either the base game and or the expansion between today, which is August 13th, and next Tuesday, which is August 20th, you'll get 52% off MSRP pricing as well. So you'll get a little bit of a added margin savings, which is always a good thing these days and ages. So really do appreciate everyone joining. As I mentioned before, you're welcome to ask any kind of questions you like. As I always say, everything is on the table, so feel free to ask any kind of questions. Easiest way to do that is if you just hover over your video window, there's a little chat bubble. You can open that up and you can ask a question there anytime you want. And Travis, like I mentioned, I'll go ahead and watch that, and as new things come up, I will shoot you a note and let you know. So with that, though, I will take my face that was made for radio, I'll let it be quiet, and I will let Travis kick off with his presentation and talk to you a little bit about this great game.
How's it going, everybody? Well, thank you for showing up and taking interest in what we're doing. So this is, as Scott said, we've got quite a few games, but this is one we're particularly excited about. It's called Terrors of London. It sold out at Gen Con. We did a very small soft release there, and it's going to hit retail here in the next couple weeks. So hopefully you guys will enjoy what I have to show you. So I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation if that's okay. And
Perfecto. Yep, there you go.
that's not the start. This is the start. All right, so the game is called Terrors of London. It is a deck building game set in a Victorian theme, like the Bram Stoker's Dracula, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, that sort of a theme, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. It touches upon a lot of the classic literary monsters that we all know and love. The art is, which you'll see more of in a second, is amazing. This game is designed by a first-time designer and his brother, who is the illustrator. They're a couple of South African guys we lovingly call the Pie Brothers. So the main thing about Terrors of London is I'm not going to try to tell you that this is doing something remarkably new or remarkably different and innovative, and we turn the gaming world on its head. Instead, I'm going to tell you what I think Terrors of London does is it takes something that people already really love and it kind of improves upon that genre. So it is a deck building game for 2 players. With the expansion, you'll be able to play up to 4. And it sort of takes this combo aspect of the game and it kind of makes it a little bit more fun, a little bit more easy for players to get into, to make the clip of the game move a little quicker. So first and foremost, why did I sign this game? Well, the theme and the atmosphere. I love the idea of the game. The players take the role of overlords. So there are 4 different overlords that represent different factions within the game, which are the archetypes of cards. There's beasts, there's the undead, there's mortals, and there's spirits. The art, as soon as I saw this, I had to have it. I thought the art was pretty compelling, very different, unique, had a kind of a comic book type vibe to it. So in the gameplay, it's got the classic 2 types of resources. You have money and power, power being damage. What's interesting about this is, as I'm sure if you played Star Realms or Ascension or Shards of Infinity, and this game is very much takes a page from those types of games, is that oftentimes what will happen is people just buy money till they accumulate a lot of money, and then they buy these very big powerful cards, and the game has a lot of sort of preamble. What this does is it flips that economy, and it makes it where money is the more scarce resource and damage is the more abundant resource. This means that the games are going to move a lot quicker. There's going to be a lot more tension. There's not going to be that lull where you're playing and you're just kind of like, okay, cool, let's take 20 turns back and forth buying stuff, and then the game actually starts. The game starts from the very first hand. The players also have a little bit of uniqueness between them in their overlord character and a couple cards that are in their deck as well. So in the game, you're gonna play cards from your hands. You're gonna buy cards. It's a what I call a deck accumulator. So it's got the open market of cards. You're going to attack your opponent. And the really neat thing about the game is that you can, is this horde mechanism, which I'm going to get into in a minute. But these are the basic steps of the game. I don't want to get into too much of that because I know you guys are wanting to sell the game, not design it. As I said, the players are going to, sorry for the graininess of this picture. The players are going to portray overlords. They all start with different amounts of hit points. They have different abilities. And what's really interesting about this game is the only thing in the game that encourages you to sort of go after only one faction, which is normally how these games work, Star Realms, etc., is your overlord. But otherwise, you're encouraged to go wide and go after any cards, any types of cards, and have a variety of cards, which makes the game a lot more balanced and fun and fair. So this is the thing that I think is really unique about the game, is this horde mechanism. So as you recruit these monsters, they're going to go into your discard pile. You're going to draw them. You're going to be able to play them just like you do in most of these games. But when you play them, if you look at the very bottom of the cards, you'll see these little icons on either side. And what that means is, for example, the werewolf is a beast and he's aligned with two other factions. So if you play the werewolf with either of those two factions, you can put the cards side by side and you can trigger that little ability on the bottom. And what that means is you have a lot more options when you're buying cards. It's a lot more liberal. For example, if normally in the other types of games I mentioned, when you buy a card, if your faction's cards don't come up or good cards don't come up, you're kind of screwed. You have to kind of buy cards you don't really want just to try to get incidental bonuses. Not only is it liberal in that way, but you can see there's multiple abilities across the bottom of these cards. So each time you add a monster to that horde, as they call it, you'll be able to trigger more and more abilities. So the combo potential there is high. There's lots of variety. There's lots of options, all within a really kind of understandable rule set. Again, this does a better job of explaining how the horde mechanism works. You can see here with the arrows pointing. Some more of the nice artwork there. Yeah, the game also allows you to get through your deck a lot quicker. Because money is a scarcer resource, that means that the cards you buy are going to feel more meaningful. So there's just not going to be that relative downtime. Each of the overlords has a sort of pre-built combo type strategy within the cards and their power, so that also kind of allows the players to feel smarter quicker. There's not that downtime of the players trying to figure out what it is that they're supposed to be doing. The opacity of that is extremely, there is no opacity. We also have a play mat that you can have. You don't need this. The game out of the box is completely playable with the cards, tokens, and play mats for the overlord mats, rather, that are kind of like postcard material out of the box. But we also have this really kind of decorative, nice thematic play mat that you can get as an accessory from us as well. The percentage of our backers that got this play mat was something like 70% of people. The 2,000-ish, almost 2,000-ish backers purchased this. The game is extremely balanced. It's very fair. It's very fun. And the good, like I said, because it sort of cuts all that preamble out of the game, you can play very quickly and get right to the fun part. We also will be releasing an expansion. There are two expansions, one which is the Kickstarter stuff, but we're going to put this expansion into retail. This increases the game up to 4 players, which is a nice change of pace for these head-to-head games, and it does so in a very thoughtful way, not this cheesy team-only type way that a lot of these games approach it. It's got new overlords, which are extremely meaningful, as they're the core of the game. They are who you as the player you're in their heads-up display. It introduces a new mechanism called terror tokens. These terror tokens differ from monster to monster, which allows for more variety. So you have a general set of rules that allows you to gain terror tokens, and then from there, that can be used through specific means for each of the overlords. And of course, there's just more monsters and stuff, which is what we all want. That is the end of my presentation. So I'm going to hope that Scott takes himself off mute and grabs the microphone.
Yeah, no, I'm here. No worries, no worries. So, yeah, just as a note, Derek had asked, is the playmat available through GTS? Unfortunately, no, the playmat's not been made available through us right now. That may happen in the future, but right now it's something that I think you guys can acquire directly from Kolossal or their parent company, Surf and Meeples, is part of that whole studio system. The base game, and I can put it into chat real quick, but the base game, Terrors of London, and the first expansion, the Terrors of London Reptile Tomb, those are both the games that are available from GTS right now. I'm going to go ahead and put that into the chat real quick so you have the icons for it there. But yeah, if you are pre-ordering that between now or next Tuesday, which again, it'll release on the 29th of this month, on August, you'll get 52% off for both the base game and for the expansion as well. So lots of good stuff with that, which is nice. 003EN is the Reptile Tomb. So let's get that in there. Awesome, there you go. So that's in chat for everybody. You can pull that up, and you should be able to order that either both online from gtsdistribution.com, or you can do it by contacting your sales rep, of course, as well. The other thing I want to talk about too, and Travis, you're welcome to jump in as you want to on this one. Kolossal has really, in the last kind of about maybe 12 or 16 months, really built itself into a brand and not just a publisher. The games that Travis has signed and have brought out have all done very well, and they've all been very unique and different standing on their own. You have obviously Western Legends is one of the most successful ones, has been received extremely well as this open sandbox world where you can start as Billy the Kid, as an outlaw, and completely turn around and become a law marshal and win the game that way. Or vice versa, you could start as a good guy and turn into a life of crime and be able to win the game that way, which is really awesome. And then obviously there's been other games that we've had on webinars as well with Imperius and Kami-sama. And now with Terrors of London. I think the most unique thing about the Kolossal games and their brand is that each game is unique. Each game is its own world, it's its own standalone thing that when you look at them, they can take you down an adventure in the Wild West, they can take you down an adventure in Victoria, London, or through, there's so many different settings like Imperius with science fiction and things like that. So depending on what type of consumers you have in your retail stores, there's a lot of different options inside of Kolossal's catalog to be able to kind of fit those needs, so to speak.
I think, Scott, what's interesting about this game, like I said, I think Western Legends, there's not a lot of sandbox games, so we were adding a game to a genre that didn't have a lot of games in that genre. There's tons of deck building games. It's an extremely popular mechanism. It has been since Dominion, whatever that was, 2008. We continue to see people be able to sell these games like Shards of Infinity, Star Realms, are great examples of these. Ascension continues to put out expansions. So I think if you have customers that are interested in those types of games, this is an easy sell. I think the art speaks for itself. The price is competitive. It does have a number of mechanisms that make it familiar, while that familiarity, you can go, oh, wow, they did this instead. So for example, like when you buy, there's cards called relics in the game. When you buy those, they just go straight into play and you can start using them immediately. There's none of this, I have to buy it, it goes into my discard, I shuffle my deck, I have to draw it, I put it into play, oh, you blew it up, I guess I only got to use it one time. There's a sense of convenience and immediacy with the game that really adds to that level of tension where you feel like you're a monster just beating the snot out of another monster, really.
Yeah, and that's one of the key things that we constantly hear retailers asking for is, I want something that's unique. I want something that's different. But when you root that uniqueness in familiarity so that you've got something to lean on as a player and say, oh, if I'm a retailer and someone picks up Terrors of London in my store, I can immediately say, hey, this is very much like other deck building games. However, this is what separates it and this is what makes it different. That's a really easy way to make a sale, which is really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to tell this too. The box that comes with the game has a nice magnetized lid, so it looks sort of like a book when it's on a shelf. You probably noticed that the products are very stark and dark. That is by design. The idea of the game was to sort of hearken to those classic literature pieces. So we wanted them to sort of look like books. So the differentiator on the cover is there's a colored band around the logo, the Terrors of London logo, and the subname is sort of like etched into the cover there. But the boxes it's got a nice box to it. It's got, you know, thick tokens. It's got lots of cards. It's got the playmat. So for the value, we try our best to try to pack as much content in there as we can. That's I know not all retailers are fond of Kickstarter, but that's one of the advantages of us using Kickstarter is that we can really put a lot of stuff in the box because of the stretch goals and things like that. And we have to kind of make the product attractive out of the gate. So really attractive and competitive. So for its price, I think it's great for fans of deck building games. It's great. I know I was a Magic player for 20 plus years, and I love simple card games that I can sit down and play. As Scott mentioned, Kolossal has lots of games. Imperius and Kami are more like gamers games, I would say. Those are more like passion projects. Like I signed those because I had a tremendous respect for the designers and for the kind of funky things they were doing. I think that Terrors is a game that has a lot of potential as a product, more in line with things like Western Legends and the Omen line that we've had.
Yeah, no, that's a great description. That's awesome. Cool. Well, there have been no additional questions that have come in over chat, so I think you probably have covered everything, which is actually really good. I even learned a couple of things about the game that I didn't know ahead of time, which was awesome. So several people have made comment about the artwork, so that's definitely an eye catcher, which is good. So
yeah, the art kind of sells itself for sure. I mean, like I said, we brought I think maybe 100 units to Gen Con, and we sold out on the first day. The game is already fulfilled to backers. It might be wrapping up fulfillment or whatever. So, you know, we're excited for it to be pushed out into the public, and I'm really hoping that people enjoy the game. And if you know they have any questions, or you can always contact me. I don't know, Scott, do you have my contact info for the?
Yeah, you're welcome to share that with everybody. We can put that into chat real quick. It's just Travis at Kolossal, right?
Yeah, just kolossalgames.com.
Got it. I will put it into chat so people can get that, and we'll make sure when we put the video up on YouTube that it's on there as well, so people can reach out to you if they have any questions on it. Awesome. Cool. Well, Travis, thank you so much for joining us, man. I really do appreciate it. You guys have a great line of games, and we're really happy to be partnered with you. So I'm really hoping that this will be something that'll do very well for the retailers, of course. Retailers, of course, if you have any questions, you can feel free to follow up with us anytime. As I mentioned, we'll post this on YouTube as well. So if there's anything you missed or anything you want to screen cap or anything like that, you can go back to it a little bit later today. We'll get that up on YouTube. And then I did also put the contact link in there into chat, but just so you have it, it's Travis, Travis, at Kolossal, KOLOSSAL games.com. And then you can always reach me, of course, at smorris@gtsdistribution.com. If you have any questions or suggestions or anything like that, we'd love to hear from you. So with that one, though, Travis, thank you very much. Really appreciate the time. Retailers, thank you very much. I know it's always challenging to carve time out of your day to take things away from the retail store, but really do appreciate you all joining us. And until we see you all next week, thanks so much for watching, and we'll have a good time in your stores.
Thank you so much, guys.